ahead and get started. Hopefully everybody can see my screen at this point. Again, welcome to Workday. Tomorrow is the launch. The information that we sent out today has the login information, and the system will not open back up until 8 o'clock tomorrow. I suspect I may have set that for Central Time, but I'm not 100% positive. Day 9 did this lockout, so it may be in Eastern Time. But if you try on Eastern Time to get in at 8 o'clock tomorrow and you can't, then 8 o'clock Central Time it should open up for you. Until then, you won't be able to access the system, or you shouldn't be able to. What we're going to focus on today is HCM and payroll, actually primarily HCM. Some people don't know what that stands for. That is Human Capital Management. Most of you have heard us refer to Centric as an HRIS, which is a Human Resources Information System. HCM basically is a broader version of that. It handles everything with regards to human resources, so it's got onboarding and recruiting inside it, as well as the benefits, discipline, performance, everything. So it's just a slightly broader term. Payroll will not be live until January 1st. So right now we're here. We're going live tomorrow for employees and managers to use the system. Open enrollment begins probably during the first week of December. On one of the flyers we sent out today, it did say that it was going to be November 15th. What we want is everybody to have their employees have looked at the system by then, so that if there are changes that need to be made, they have time to make them, or that somebody can contact us and we can help make them. And then payroll function is going to be live January 1st. Finance is actually going live 11/1 as well, so tomorrow. There may be some components that don't. I'm not going to address finance today, so all of the questions with regards to your P&L or how to do reporting or how to handle invoicing, that'll be directed to the accounting department. Joyce and all of her crew can help you with that. On October 17th, the system was released to the HR department and to finance to start troubleshooting and looking at all the programming that we've done since February. Tomorrow, you'll have access. We would like all employees to verify their personal information, and I'm going to show you how they do that. We want employee pictures to be in the system for everybody, so this is going to be mandatory. Please facilitate this. Yes. Please facilitate this for you and your employees. You can do it with cell phones and upload it. You can send the pictures to us. People keep asking, well, what if they don't want a picture taken? Tell them it's a condition of employment. But it is something that we want. When we come out to visit facilities, any managers or anybody else, we want people to know who we're looking at, who we're speaking to. So we'd like these pictures to be kept updated. New employees, when they come in, just make it part of their onboarding to take a picture of them as they start. I'll show you how to do that and also the requirements for the picture. We want everybody to look at the system itself, start playing with it, become familiar with it. Employees are going to be hired through the system beginning tomorrow and onboard through the system beginning tomorrow. Managers will begin making changes to job titles, pay, supervisory reporting structures, locations. You'll do discipline. Performance reviews probably won't come until the beginning of next year like we did this year, and much more. What you won't be doing is you will not be making any or viewing any payroll information in Workday. All of that will continue to reside in Centric. Your employees will continue to look at their pay stubs in Centric until December 31st. As of January 1st, the payroll piece is going live. So you'll still continue to submit your payroll exactly as you do now. You'll send in whatever uploads and other backup documentation to payroll@covan.com or through whatever avenue in Anzio. Information for W-2s will most likely come out in paper form sent to the facilities this year, because employees are no longer going to have access to Centric beginning 1/1. If anybody needs access to their historic information, you're going to have to send a request through HR, and we'll pull that information. Verifications for welfare services or anything like that typically come through us anyway, but if somebody needs access to an old pay stub or information, then they're going to have to contact us because there will only be one login for Centric, and we'll hold that here. Absence and vacation requests will also come through payroll@covan.com via a paper form until 1/1. Absence is tied to payroll, so we have to keep those two systems the same and the accruals working, and it will not update in Workday until payroll goes live. So all your employees coming through Thanksgiving and Christmas, when they're typically taking time off, will still have to do those requests in paper. You'll sign off, you'll send them to payroll@covan.com, and we'll enter them in the system so that they can be paid for it. This is the home screen that everybody will essentially see whenever they log into Workday. You've got a home icon, you've got a search window, the word home, the word Workday, their name. This icon right here with the cloud will change and ultimately will be that person's picture. There's a little gear icon, and I'm going to show you what you can do with each of these shortly. All of these icons are called worklets. It's just the vernacular that Workday uses. You'll hear us use it repeatedly. And this links you to all the major areas that you would need to touch within the Workday setup. This one's actually a view of mine, and there are going to be worklets on here that a regular employee won't have, and there may be worklets on here that you won't have as a manager because they're driven by your security access. You don't have a worklet for something that you don't normally access or need. The other thing is, if you don't have a worklet for something, but you do use it periodically, you can always search for it up here. So just because you don't have a worklet doesn't mean that you can't access something, but typically you're not going to have it if you don't need it. In Workday, every employee is going to have access to an inbox. It's not an email. It's not their email address. It's through this inbox icon or this inbox worklet. Also by clicking on their cloud icon or their picture, ultimately it will be their picture, they'll be able to access that. This is important because as a manager, this is essentially where you're going to live in Workday. All of the routes that come through to you are going to come through the inbox. So if somebody's got an approval for a hire, somebody's going to change something in their system, you're going to be approving a pay change, anything as it routes back and forth through the system, the request for vacation or something, these will route through your inbox. The other thing that's going to come through the inbox is going to be your enrollment information. We'll also send documents through the inbox, so all employees who need documents with regards to the 401k plan, or maybe we're updating the handbook or anything like that, they'll be notified through their inbox. In this little area right here, also attached to the cloud icon, and also here, you'll see a red circle with a number 1, 2, 10, whatever it might be, inside that little circle, which tells you you have new information in your inbox and you need to check it. That little red thing won't go away, the indicator won't go away until you've checked it or taken care of that item. Separate from that, there is also a notifications tab inside this access to your own account. Now there is a worklet for the inbox, but there is not one for the notifications. The difference between an inbox alert and a notification has to do with you needing to take action in most cases. We've been told repeatedly that you get way too much information in your emails, and we didn't want to clutter up your inbox with items that you might want to see or might want to have knowledge about, but they're separate from those things that are more important that you need to take action on. So you'll receive notifications, and safety incidents are one of those things, that if an employee files for a safety incident, you're going to receive a notification and safety is going to receive the action in most cases. But you should make it a habit to go in and click on your name or this cloud icon and check your notifications. It'll tell you how many are out there, and when you check it, it'll look just like your inbox does, which I'll show you in just a minute. There's other things in this drop-down, a workbench and a favorites. Your favorites also has a worklet. Your W drive is where reports will park. Once you get used to using the reporting function, and even reports that we generate for you or your senior vice presidents or finance may generate for you, they'll park in your W drive in most cases for you to be able to access them. Under My Account, you'll be able to access changing your password and some other things. One of the things you want to train all of your employees for is that they need to come up here to their name and their picture and click that and come down and sign out if they're using your kiosk or they're using a public computer. We don't want people to have access to their personal information, so they need to be in the habit of signing out when they finish. One of the changes in Workday is that you're going to have a lot more access to information than you've ever had before. In Workday, there are org charts, so you can see visually where everybody lays out on your team and also on other teams. This is going to vary from person to person and supervisory level to supervisory level as to what you can access, but most people will be able to access the majority of the company. And within each of these pieces of the org chart, you can click on somebody and get to access an email address or an address for a company that they're at. So it makes contact significantly easier as well. Again, each of these places where there's a cloud icon will have a picture because every employee is going to be required to have the picture. If you want to get to an org chart, you can click My Team, and that's going to bring you into this option where you see View and My Org Chart. In this case, this is Mike Tatum's region. So you can see Mike Tatum is the head of this, is in his title, and then you can see all of his general managers laid out below. When you're in Workday, Workday terms anything that is a company, a region, a facility, a department, or even a department head as a supervisory org. When you're searching for somebody, and I'll show you in just a moment, when you're searching for somebody, and let's say you were searching for Mike Tatum, you're going to see two iterations of Mike Tatum in that search window. One of them is going to say employee out beside it, and one of them is going to say supervisory org. The employee may be what you're actually looking for if you're looking for a specific person. If you're looking for Mike's region, then you would click his supervisory org. Again, you'll get more used to it when you're in it and once you have a chance to see it. But if you're ever kind of wondering, why is this not looking quite like I think, make sure that you're not in the supervisory org as opposed to the employee. The other thing that you're going to see in here is going to be contingent workers. So for those of you who have drivers who are independent contractors, you're going to be able to see their information as well. So a lot more information available to you. Searching in Workday is easy. You have a search bar. Up beside your home icon at the top left, you see a little window. Anytime you type the first three letters of each word you're searching for, you can start generating information coming back to you. You have to be careful, though. If you spell it wrong, you're going to wind up with no results. So if you're not sure how to spell what it is you're looking for, and that includes an employee's name, get in the first three letters of their first name, the first three letters of their last name, or just the first three letters of their last name. The more you type in, the more refined your results are. The less you type, the broader it comes back. When you're looking for somebody who is what Workday calls a pre-hire, which is a person who may have applied for a job but has not yet been hired, you may know that person's out there. Maybe you've interviewed them, and you know that that person has a file in Workday because they applied online and you've seen their application. But if you search for their name up here, they're not going to show up. However, once you start searching and you get this there's no results box, or even if you do get results, you're going to have this categories line right here. These are all clickable, so I can click people and it will hone in on the fact that I'm looking for a person. It actually also opens up the pre-hires at that point. So I can find a pre-hire by clicking that people term. The other thing is there are thousands of results on some things that you search for, especially when it comes to reports. And if you're looking for a specific report and you type in a specific action and it brings back 700 results, but you know you only want those that are reports, you can click reports, and again, it'll fine-tune and only bring your reports back to you. Again, you may still have 200, but it gets easier and easier to start seeing how you want to narrow that search, and then you can scroll through it. So searching is pretty easy. You just have to remember that you have to get the right terminology in there. One of the examples of that, I'm going to go back to Mike Tatum. The system, when you first apply, you may apply as Michael Tatum. M-I-C-H-A-E-L is how most people spell Michael. But we know him as Mike Tatum, so when we go to search, we might be searching M-I-K. It's going to yield no results. However, if I change that to M-I-C, you can see that he shows up. And again, here's an example of what I was saying with supervisory organization versus employee, because this shows his region and this shows him. Inside Workday, you'll have an opportunity to select your preferred name as opposed to your legal name, and I'll show you how to do that as well. If you do that, then when somebody searches for Mike Tatum, if he'd already changed it to Mike, then he'll be able to see it as Mike. One of the things to remember about your logins is that most people are set up with their login being their legal name. Example of that would be Gwendolyn Vickers, who most of y'all know with safety, who goes by Gwen, but her username is probably gwendolyn.vickers. So if one of your employees starts to type their username and they're typing in mike.tatum, it may have been set up as michael.tatum. So if it doesn't open up immediately and show that that's a valid name, try an alternative version of that person's name. Updating personal information. This is particularly important for all employees, not just managers, but this is what we want you to start talking to your employees about. With Centric, we've had difficulty pulling information out of it once we put it in. This is one of the reasons why we're changing systems. So when we migrated the information from Centric into Workday, most of it we feel is correct, but there's pieces of it that didn't come over. So we want to make sure that everybody's personal information is correct, that their benefits or that their dependents are correct, and that their benefit information is correct. So we want them to look at their personal information. This is the personal information worklet. When you click this, it brings you to this window, and this is a common view that you'll see in Workday. You'll see two side-by-side panels. One says Change, one says View. If you're looking to actually make a change, then you're going to click whatever it is under Change. If you just want to look at it, then you're going to click whatever you see under View. There will be links to be able to change it once you get into View. If you go, oh wait, I needed to update that. And you'll figure out how to navigate that pretty easily. It's fairly user-friendly. The other thing is that these areas down here where it says less, and there's 3, and less, there's 2, if I were to click that, it would take these last 3 off, and it would stop at legal name. This word would change to more, and it would have the number 3 out beside it. So if you've gotten into this, and you knew that you've gotten in it before, and that particular thing was listed there, well, I know preferred name was out there. Just click more. In most cases, it's going to be there. It's just a matter of the menus roll up and give you the shortest possible amount because some of them are lengthy. Always make sure that you click Submit, Done, or Save, whatever happens to be at the bottom left of the corner, to make sure that your information is embedded permanently into the system. If you're going to update someone's photo, or if they're going to update it, then they go into Personal Information, they click Photo, and I'll show you how that looks here shortly. But in red up at the top of the screen, so you'll open it up, and then right along this line right up here, you'll see in red it says that it needs to be a professional picture, like professional looking picture, not done by a professional, in front of a clear background or relatively neutral background, in a professional dress outfit basically, so a polo shirt or something, or an employee uniform if they have a uniform, and it needs to be a headshot basically, so shoulders and up. We don't want selfies. We definitely don't want bathroom selfies with the toilet or the shower in the back of them. And all of these will come through HR for approval or through a manager for approval before they'll actually be posted, and we may reject some and ask them to be taken again. Please ask your employees to smile. Dependent information needs to be updated as well. And beneficiaries, while dependents did come over, most of them should have come over accurately. We did not import any beneficiary information, and that is simply because there was so much bad information in the way it ported over. We didn't want to have misinformation for somebody's beneficiary. Under dependents, it can only be a spouse, which would be a legally married spouse. In some states, that includes common law. It can be a child, and that can be your biological child, an adopted child, or a child that you have guardianship of, and any child up to age 26. When you're entering dependents, you only want to have those dependents who are on your benefits. So you may have 5 children, 2 of whom are over 26 and the others who are not. You do not need to add those who are over 26 because you're not going to cover them on your benefits. Every child's birth date, every spouse's birth date, and all Social Security numbers need to be entered in the system now. We're still missing a great number of the socials and birth dates, so please have your employees prepared to enter it. At some point, we are going to do an audit, so they can go ahead and start updating information for proof, such as marriage certificates or birth certificates, things like that. If they don't, at some point, we will call for that to be updated in the system so that we can audit and ensure that we are verifying that they are legitimate dependents. Beneficiaries can be anybody. So beneficiaries can be entered here, dependents can be entered here. When you're in your benefits, you also can edit a lot of times who your beneficiaries are and sometimes who your dependents are. Beneficiaries can be labeled as friends, ex-spouses, whatever it might be. The last slide I'm going to go over, and then we're going to jump into the system, has to do with a change in how we report a safety-related incident. These are your work comp injuries. In Workday, you have an icon called Safety. That'll appear on your home page, and every employee has it, where an employee would normally have to, or a manager, have to fill out that first report of injury. This will now be done electronically in the system, and I will show you that briefly as well in just a minute. A manager, as I said, can do it, but the nice thing is that an employee can access this from home and from an iPad, so they can do it at any time of day. One of the complaints that we've heard when we've tried to have these entered accurately and timely is that, well, I came in late, or it happened on the weekend, and I couldn't get to my manager, or it happened in the middle of the day and my manager wasn't around, and I couldn't file the report. So they no longer have that option to say, I couldn't do it. They can file it from the kiosk in your office. They can file it from home. They can file it from an iPad. They cannot file it from a phone at this point, and probably wouldn't want to, because there's enough information in there that they have to type that would be really difficult. You can update documents and notes. You can add other people who were involved. So it's pretty good setup. And that is all the slides we have. So I am going to go right in now to the actual system. When you log in, this is what it looks like. There is, ignore the fact that there's 6 of these up here right now. There will only be one that's active for you. But I am in what is called the sandbox. And you can see up here it says sandbox. When you log in, you will not be in the sandbox. You will be in the live tenant. Our system is called a tenant, so you'll hear that word repeatedly. The tenant is exactly what it sounds like. It's like a renter and a lease arrangement. So we've leased this space and we are the tenants, and this is our home from now on. This is what it looks like, and there are going to be messages up here for you and your employees when you log in. These will stay. They may change. There may be others of them periodically. This first one says, this is what we want you to do in Workday. Whenever you click on it, you get a pop-up that tells you more. So in this case, welcome to Workday. We want you to click the worklet for personal information and for benefits, and to review and update your dependents and beneficiaries and your personal information. Whenever you're done looking at one of these, you could just click off the screen, or there's a little X and you can X out of it. One of the changes that's occurring is that currently, if you want to make a change to your 401k, you would go into Centric and you would update that percentage to remove it, to increase it, to check the box that says you don't want to auto-escalate. All of those things occur in Centric right now. But we're converting over where you go back into Prudential, so you will not make these changes in Workday if you want to change your deferral percentages, request a loan, anything like that. You'll go out to Prudential. It's the same place that you're going to go to change your investment allocation. So it will force employees, hopefully, to get into the system a little bit more, do a little more investment activity if they want to. But it's very easy to get to. We've got the link right here. All they have to do is click the link, and it'll take them to it. Again, all you have to do is click out or click the X right here, and that goes away. So that's how you're going to access your 401k account from now on. And I'll show you what the login looks like in just a minute. If you're having problems in Workday, something's not working right, you can go to helpdesk@covan.com. Again, if you just click the link right here, it'll bring up that email, and you can send an email to them. It is a ticketing system. Most of you know how to reach people in HR. You have our phone numbers. You have our emails. If there's an emergency, you've got to do something right now, and you're not getting a quick enough response, call us, email us. You know, however, they're going to be on it all the time, so I feel like they're going to be very active and responsive for you. But they're going to be allocating that information out to the people that it's appropriate to go to. So finance, they would forward it over to them. And some of the information for us, they'll forward to us. But we believe you will have all the assistance that you need, but should you need more, just click that. Again, this is the screen as it looks for me. Here's that safety icon. If you go into it, you can actually see, I want to report an incident, or you can update an incident. When you click it, you can start filling in when did it happen. You can update all of this information, the location, who was it being reported by, who was it reported to, who was the supervisor on duty, what's the type of incident, and you can, again, these match the first report of injury essentially. Where did it occur, and then ask them to fill out everything in detail about what happened. When they're ready to submit, they're going to click this submit button, or they can click it save for later, or you can add an involved party, and that'll give you information to do that, and then you would submit. If you need to add notes or files or attachments, maybe there were pictures that were taken, you could do it here. If you're adding attachments frequently or notes, you'll have an option to surf out to a location on your computer, so just know where you parked it. And when you're done, you click OK. And that will start the process to go to safety and to go to managers as a notification. If you want to come back and look at it, you can click safety drill down, and that means the employees can go back and click that as well. Now I'm going to start something that you will not have access to, and this is just for purposes of the demo. You're going to see me proxy as different people so that I can perform different tasks. Again, it's not an option for you, and it won't be for us once this is fully live. I'm going to proxy in as Tom Graver because I set some things up in his organization so that I can get to it. Again, now this is what Tom Graver's front page looks like. You can see there's different icons here. The things that you're going to use the most, we have moved to the top. So your inbox is here. Again, you can access the information over here. Here's that option for everything. If you want to look at my account and change your password, this is what it looks like. And there's for your challenge questions that everybody will have set up. On this icon, it gives you an opportunity to move or add worklets around. So there may be other worklets out there that you want to add. You just click the little plus sign, and you'll get used to these menus. Whenever you want to add something, you click the plus sign. It gives you an opportunity to add. You click the drop down. Let's say I want to look at all the worklets. You can see there are tons. So let's say you wanted to have your anniversaries for your employees show up, or your birthdays, so it flags you, and you know to say happy birthday to them. You can add that as a worklet. You just add it. You can adjust where they are by clicking the arrows to move them up or down. These are permanent. You cannot adjust those. If you see an alert, this yellow colored alert tells you that there's an issue somewhere, but you can move past a yellow alert. If you see one that's red and says error, that's going to force you to make a change before you can submit. If you click on it, it'll tell you what it is. In this case, it just says, on the mobile application, this one may not display properly. Okay, that's fine. I don't care. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. When I come back, I'm going to hit Done and see my home page. There's birthdays. And look, 2 of my folks have birthdays here sometime soon. So really easy to get to it and see that you've got birthdays coming up and be a little more proactive about knowing your employees and speaking to them about these things. Management reporting, you'll be able to get in, and we'll be giving you more information about reporting later on. I'm not going to get into a lot of it right now because it's an entire session of its own, but people who do KPIs, your P&Ls, things like that, you'll see in here. There's a lot of power behind these. You can put almost everything into Excel. You can create graphs. So if you're not very good at doing that stuff naturally, Workday is going to help you out a lot. Under My Team, this gives you that view of who you have. And here's a good example of that more versus less. If I want to click more, now I've got a whole lot more. Or I can click less again. I can see my own org chart. In this case, this is Tom Graver's org chart. And again, same sort of thing. I can show more, so I can go down and up. Now, let's say I'm Tom and I want to see, okay, where does this go? Here's my whole region. I can continue to go up to see what's above that. Now I've got to Jimbo. I can continue climbing. There's Jeff Coleman as president. You can see how everybody's laid out. Maybe you were looking for somebody in accounting. You know they report under Joyce, so I could click Joyce and start going down through hers. And then on up, and there's James Coleman. So if you needed to contact somebody, you also can click on that to access information on that person, or you can type their name. So there's April Arnold, and I can see that's her manager, and I can get into some different things. There is a feedback option. Managers will have it, employees will not. So if you have an employee from another facility who's working for you and you want to leave feedback, maybe they did fantastic, you can do that. That'll help during performance evaluations. You can leave it for your own staff. It just gives you a real quick way to say, hey, this person did something good, or maybe this person did something atrocious. Anything that we want to check through there. Again, we're not going to have it open to employees because we do not want to get in a situation where they're saying and doing things that are not really appropriate. You're going to launch team performance from here. So if you want to start a performance review, most of y'all remember the performance that we did last year. I could either search by clicking my team and seeing everybody. Maybe I've got a lot of people under me and I don't want to do that, so I can just type the name. I'm going to check the performance template, and we're going to go into 2016, and it's going to flag me to start it. Got an alert, says some of these sections are going to be hidden from an employee. This gives us the ability to put what we want. So this should be familiar to most of you. This is the new performance setup that we use. Here's a copy of it. If you want to drop it into a PDF, you can. There's two ways to go through this. You can go through the summary editor. You can go through a guided editor. They look essentially the same. You're going to go through and answer questions. I'm going to just put something in here so it goes through it, and you can see we would ask that you actually put something of value in there. But again, I just want to put information in so that I can show you what happens. And then I'm going to click Next. It's going to show me the answers that I have. Anytime you click a pencil or just click in it, then you can edit it. So let's say you've seen this and everything looks good, I can submit. This also tells you the process history and who had it when. Once I submit, it's going to show that the next step I need to do as Tom is now I need to go talk to my employee about this, which is the way these were designed. It's going to have an overall process, and I can click Submit. Up next is Tom Test. You can see the picture because I've already put his profile picture in. I'm going to proxy in as him. Again, you can't proxy, but this is where the system would switch over, and the ball's going to be in Tom's court to do the next step. So in Tom's inbox, I can see I've got a couple of things to do. Here's the manager evaluation. It says to view my current job description, to navigate to the job tab within their profile and click on the profile link. I'm going to update this. It'll have a little more detailed information so you know where to get to it. You can go in and click this. Again, you could put the pencil over here. The status is acknowledging the review with comments and without comments. So I don't have anything else to say. I'm going to go ahead and submit it. And that's all your employee has to do. This is that same form that they had last year that you had them sign off, that they had their job description, and they had an opportunity to put in any comments, and then they signed and dated it. So what Tom Test just did was essentially fill out that form. I'm going to tell him he's done. On this is from when Tom onboarded, and this is where he would have updated his skills and experience. So he can add job history. And we're going to encourage that everybody go in and do this. Work experience, education, languages, certifications. This could be work forklift or CDLs, or actually under licenses, but like I'm SHRM, HRCI, SPHR certified. It's in there. If it's not, let us know and we can add things. Training, awards, maybe they got Associate of the Month, maybe they got some other award. They can put all of that in here. So for Tom, I'm going to go back to him real quick and just hit submit so it comes out of his inbox. This kicks off the rest of the I-9 stuff. It'll go back to one of my employees, Amber Murphy, to finalize. Once that goes in Amber, it'll kick off automatically to E-Verify. Everybody has an Archives tab in their inbox, so it doesn't matter who's I'm in right now, but this is what Tom has already completed. This is all of his onboarding, his benefits, changing his ID, his photo, and you can see that. You can actually click on it and see where things stand at different points by clicking Process and see where it actually is. Right now, it's with Amber Murphy, and you can see it's awaiting action right here. So if you're looking to figure out where is something, why didn't it get done, you can click in the processes in your own inbox for a task that you had kicked off or took part in. For now, I'm going to go back over to Tom Graver. And look at his email. So in his inbox, it's come back because Tom Test had done his part, and now Tom Graver is going to have an opportunity to do any final comments if he wanted to. At this point, he says he's said enough, and you can see the overview of the evaluation all the way through. You can see the history of what happened with it, and you hit submit. You can see that it's been completed. So the amount of time that it takes to do a performance evaluation is actually pretty quick. You can see in archives again, here's different things that he's done, and you can see that he did that performance evaluation. There's a little bit of back and forth between you and the employee, but everything can be done at home or on an iPad. So it doesn't have to be done right there in the kiosk. Wherever they can access a computer is fine. I want to get into recruiting now because this is going to be one of the biggest changes that you're going to have. You have an icon here, a worklet for recruiting. When you click that, this is where you're going to get in and see jobs that you have open. In this case, there's a couple that Tom Graver has open right now. You can see they are open. He has a helper job. He has a warehouse clerk open. This icon right here, you can barely see it, is called a related actions icon. And you're going to see it, let me go back for a second. You're going to see it on a lot of different things. So I'm going to search for Tom Test. I can find Tom Test as Tom Graver's employee, and you see up here the related actions. That related action button, we also call it a Twinkie or a brick because it looks like both, has the ability to do a lot of different things. I'm going to go back to this in a minute, but just so you can see that there are different things you can do here. You also can access the information on this employee from here. I'm going to go back to where I was and finish this process. So I'm recruiting. Let's say Tom decided he wanted a different job open, and it was not one he had open in his staffing plan. That means that it's going to take more approval. It doesn't mean you can't open one, but it means his approval is going to go all the way up to Senior Vice President, in this case to Jimbo, because Jimbo is the Senior Vice President in this organization. If I'd already posted this job, so maybe it was for a new ops manager. I didn't have an ops manager in this facility, and I'm going to create one. I'm going to create a new position. If there'd already been one, I could create that requisition from one that I'd already posted. In this case, you can see there were helpers and warehouse clerks. So he could have clicked this and it would have pre-filled on the next screen. We also will have the job descriptions actually pre-populating. You'll see that they're not out there now when I go through some of this. But for now, we're going to create a new position. It's for an employee. Note that it can be a contingent worker. So if you're hiring, again, an independent contractor, that's where you would put it. I'm going to click OK. And it's going to start this process. And it's kind of a guided process. It's pretty quick. How many openings do you have? If this were summer and you were staffing up and you needed to have over-the-road drivers or regional drivers, short haul, you could put in 10 openings. And that way, as people applied and you hired, it would cover all those openings through one job requisition and one approval scenario. So you're not going to have to do every single one every time. Just makes it a little bit quicker. In this case, I'm not going to do more than one. I'm going to add a new position. If it were replacement, I would add the replacement information. I'm going to start recruiting today. Maybe I wasn't going to hire until the end of the week, but in this case, I'm going to put hiring now. I don't know when the target end date is. You can either click next or click the next tab. Job posting title. Justification if you want to put it in or need it. And job profile. I'm going to see if this is even an option. Nope, not in this one because I didn't have it. So I'm going to go back and change just for the fun of it. We'll make it an assistant general manager instead of an ops manager. These will pre-populate in most cases. We're still in the process of loading. I'm just going to put something in so I can get through it because right now they're required. To regular full-time employees, so regular and full-time. I'm just clicking the drop-downs. Primary location. And again, you can just start typing because there's a lot in there. And it'll pre-populate. If it was somebody that was going to be split between multiple locations, I could add in other locations. or if you were advertising for more than one location, you could do that. Again, I can click Next or just click the other. Some of these qualifications will pre-populate once we load. Others you may want to modify slightly when you place an ad, so you can put in different things. The organizations should pre-populate based on what you put on that other screen. If there were attachments you wanted to add, you could. You do want to go to Assign Roles and click Add. And whoever's loading this, whoever's going to be the person to get the rest of the information, needs to be assigned as the primary recruiter. In this case, I'm going to put it as Tom Graver. And then it's going to show you the summary of everything that you've put in. And I'm going to hit Submit. Now we've put a bunch of skip steps in here right now because we wanted to be able to demo it without having to go through a lot of different steps. But I'm going to show you how it looks to apply. Hang on just a minute. Andy, would you post that job, please, both internally and externally? While he's doing that, I'm going to show you under my recruiting jobs. I can look at frozen or open or closed. In this case, I just want to look at open. And there's the jobs that I have open. In this case, I have active candidates who are already out there. So I can click on this job and see what I've got. It gives you this little screen, and it shows that there's one in the ready for hire. That means I've already looked at that person, pushing it through the pipeline a little bit. That was Tom Test. He's now an internal candidate. So if I go back, and again, you can get into this through the recruiting dashboard as opposed to just recruiting as well. It will show you what's open and what's going on, and if you have people out there ready to apply. Over time, it's also going to start gathering a lot of historical information to give you information on how long it's taking you to fill a position, what positions you've been through, the different steps you've taken people through, and the amount of time on average that each one has been there. I'm going to look at this warehouse clerk. There's one ready for review. And I'm going to look at my candidates. I have Sally Test out here. I'm going to look at her. Let's say I've already interviewed Sally. I can go from this stage and move her ready to hire. And you can see the changes have been added. Come back home. You see that I now have something in my inbox again. And that is that Sally Test is ready for me to put through the hire thing. I've offered her a job, or I'm in the process. I'm going to hire her as of today. And you have to designate what it was. She was a new hire, not a rehire. And this is going to start pre-populating a lot of information. If I wanted to add additional documents, I could. So they provided something that I wanted to add, I could. I'm going to hit Submit. And that's going to move this to Ann. And this is to put in the compensation. I'm going to go ahead and proxy in as Ann real quick so that I can pick this up. Part of this you're going to be able to do on your side, but because of the skip steps, it's not there. So compensation shows that it's an hourly person in the range that we were hiring this person, $725 to $875. What you need to understand about these ranges is these are in that Midland City equivalent. So if you hire somebody at $875, that's the Midland City equivalent. In Colorado Springs, there's a 10.1 cost of living allowance on it. So it would come up too high. To do that calculation, and we'll send you a spreadsheet, it's a really quick lookup that says all you have to do if you want to know how much it needs to be in Colorado once that cost of living is added, you would multiply the rate that you're going to put in. Let's say I put them in at 7.5, $7.50 an hour. I would multiply that times 10.1%, so 0.101, and then add it to 750, and that's going to give me, I think it's 826. So when I hit Submit, it's going to show me down here. Let me open this real quick. I'll be able to show you on the other page. We're going to be editing these service dates so that rehires have information available. And I'm going to go in and proxy a Sally Test so I can finish some of this as her, but you'll be able to see that her pay shows up as $826, I think it is for her. Now, all employees, it was that quick just to hire somebody, by the way, but when an employee first logs in, so now Sally's been hired, this is what happens. She's going to have her login. The Workday account was created for her in the hire process. And this is what her screen is going to look like. This is what the screen is going to look like for all of your employees the first time they log in. And it's just a narrative screen that says, here's your search box. This is what you can do with it. Here's your inbox. Here's your profile information. Here's what you can do. You click this Let's Get Started in the middle. They can click this if they want, or they can go straight to their inbox. It doesn't matter. And it's going to show, in her case, she's a new employee. Here's her new hire packet. It creates a PDF of it. I would recommend that you keep this new hire packet printed and over by your kiosk. You can hand it to them, but it's there for them to look at, and what they're going to do is acknowledge receipt of it by clicking I agree and submit. Takes her to the next step. I'm going to hit done. Change emergency contacts. I'm going to put Brad, who is her husband. And this is what your employees are going to be seeing and going through to onboard. It's a lot easier than the paper process we went through before. No, that is not the correct zip code for Colorado, but I have yet to memorize that. And there are going to be some things that they look like they're grayed out, but they're actually mandatory. If I were to try to submit right now, it's going to come back. Here's that error saying, hey, wait, you have to do this. And when you click on it, it's going to tell you where your error is. So primary emergency contacts, they have to have at least one phone number or an email address, not both. And in this case, same thing. It's got to have one or the other. I'm going to put in a phone number, select the device. Area code is separated. So if you start putting it in here, you're going to get an error, and it's going to ask you to put in whatever for home. I'm going to go ahead and fill in an email address because I'm going to have to add it later for something else I'm doing. Anyway, I'm going to hit submit. So I'm done with that screen. Now it's going to go to edit government IDs. This is mandatory. This is where they're going to enter their social. Country, go to preferred countries, or just start typing United States. The national ID type is Social Security number for almost everybody. And there's not an issuance date. That's all they have to put on this one. And to change a photo, this is how easy it is to change a photo. So I'm going to get that on the upload. Here's my photo. It tells me professional looking headshot, shoulders and above only, company uniform shirt or professional dress required, neutral background such as a wall, and please smile. All you're going to do is surf to your computer wherever it's parked or your kiosk and choose the picture that you want to use, and then you can adjust it so that it's the right size and showing the right layout, and hit OK. You can see it shows up over here, and I'm going to hit submit. This is going to tell me that it has gone to the HR partner or manager. Andy, if you would please go ahead and approve that. I'm going to hit done. And I'm going to hit submit because I did this. And then this gets into my personal name. So this says this is my legal name. Maybe my legal name was really Sarah, but I go by Sally. And I'm going to come down here to my preferred name and uncheck this box, because now I can type in that I want my first name really to be Sally. That's what everybody's going to call me. I can verify that my gender is here. My date of birth is not, so I need to fill that out. Marital status, I am married. And you just click the drop down. Race and ethnicity will typically come over from when they applied. Citizenship does not, but it's easy to get to. If you're disabled, then you can add in any disability if you didn't previously do it, or you can say you declined to put anything in. Military service is the same. If you've entered it on the other screens, some of it will come over, some of it won't. I am not a protected veteran. And here's my other information that are automatically ported over, so I don't have to enter it again. Again, it saves time for the employees as they're going through that process, because they're not having to enter their name and their address and their social and their birthday 16 different times on those forms. If there was anything I'd missed, it would have given me an error. Now at this point, it comes up and it shows this orange box with the little redo thing. I'm going to click that because it's telling me there's more to do there. It's going to give me my benefits enrollment guide. So one of the problems we really struggled with before was that employees would become eligible and it was difficult to track them down because they are on the road as drivers or they're in and out on a regular basis. And we're required by law to give them this information and make sure that they acknowledge it so that we don't have a problem with ACA. So now it's in their onboarding. Again, I would encourage you to print the enrollment guide and have copies of it that are right there that they can have and take with them. But if they don't, whether they do or not, if they acknowledge it, that's all we need. It's going to take them to the next steps. And that'll be an updated guide here shortly for 2017. And I'm going to click Done. And here's my I-9. So again, they're not filling out their I-9 in a form, but they do have to fill it out. One of the quirks in this program, and we cannot control it, is that if they don't have an other name that was used, they have to click NA. It will show you an error if you don't. And that's the little checkbox that they're talking about. And check a citizen of the United States, and I agree, and submit. Now, the next thing it's going to do for this is launch the benefits elections. I want y'all to look at this in particular because we're about to start open enrollment. And this is where all of your employees are going to do open enrollment. And thankfully, it is so much easier than what everybody's gone through with Centric. So it'll be just a collective sigh of relief, I believe. Up here, there's some help text that just says, please review everything, make sure that you have all the correct information. Up in this corner, you're going to see the total cost, and this is going to tabulate as we start electing things, and it will, in that employee's pay cycle, it'll tell you how much it is. So in this case, it's a weekly employee, it's a non-exempt employee. It's going to tell me on a weekly basis how much I'm going to be spending. The first thing it asks is, are you a tobacco user? You may want to caution your employees. A lot of them will check no, and they are tobacco users. But if there's ever a claim, and Blue Cross Blue Shield at some point does a nicotine test or something shows up in their blood that shows that there was nicotine in them, they can invalidate all of their claims. So if that's the risk they want to run, that's fine. But typically we'd ask them to be honest about this. In this case, I'm going to say no. There are only 2 plans here. You'll notice that the mid-range plan is missing because in 2017 we've removed it. So I'm going to elect the buy-up plan, and my coverage, in this case, I'm going to do employee and spouse for my medical, and I'm going to enroll my dependents. I don't have any existing dependents. I didn't put my spouse in there. Brad's still not there. So I can click add from something else. Had I put him as an emergency contact? Well, actually I did. And if so, well, there's Brad right there. And do I want to use him as a beneficiary? Sure, I'd like to. Less typing for me. So it's going to pre-populate some of the information I'd already put in. I'm going to put in Brad's birthday. And Brad is a male. I can check that Brad does or doesn't use tobacco, and I would just leave this box exactly as it is. If it was a full-time student, you could put that in, but it's not necessary. What is required is this national ID right here. So check Social Security number and put in Brad's Social Security number. Come down and check and make sure that everything is entered down here and hit OK. I don't have to enter any of Brad's information again. Now Brad's fully in there, so anything I use him on, everything's already filled out. One time and you're done. This is what it's going to cost me every week, and this is how much the employer is contributing every week. I want the dental plan, and in this case, I'm going to have employee and spouse. I have to add Brad again, but there he is as an existing dependent. I'm done. On vision, I'm going to elect vision. But I think I'm just going to do employee only because, well, Brad has great eyes. Takes me to the next stage. This is not currently open where I can show it to you, and that has to do with the fact that we're loading for next year, and this is set up for this year. WageWorks is going to be our new FSA provider. So if you're currently carrying a task card, TASC, for your flexible spending, those cards are not going to be valid after December 31st. because we've changed vendors. You will get a new one when you elect your flexible spending, and this is where you would elect your health care or your dependent care, and then how many remaining pay periods, that sort of stuff. Most of this will pre-populate, and you enter in the total that you want. It tells you what your maximums are. I'm just going to click continue at this point. It's going to give me the options. It shows me that I've got 10,000 employer basic. This actually won't be clickable at some point, but right now it is. But this is what the company's paying for you. You can then add employee voluntary life, spouse life, child life. If I were to go in and try to add spouse or child life and do not elect voluntary employee life, it will give me an error and tell me I have to elect one or the other. Short and long-term disability, critical illness, spouse critical illness, all of that is here, and you can elect whatever you want and add whoever you want to it. I'm going to continue on. The 401k plan will display. So if you currently have a percentage out there, it's going to show up here. But if you notice, you cannot change anything on it. But if you want to, you can go out and click to go out to Prudential. In this case, it's going to show me that I've already logged in once. So once you've set up an account, it's going to recognize you if you've saved it on your computer. If you're a new user, you can click Register Now. It's going to ask for your social and your date of birth and your zip code and to prove that you're not a computer. And then it'll tell you to click Next, and it'll walk you through the process. So it's pretty easy to get into your Prudential account as long as you know your own basic information. And I'm going to click through this. This tells me that I have basic life insurance and it needs a beneficiary. I'm going to click the plus sign, and I have an option to put Brad out there. If I had children out there, I could put them out there, or I can add somebody. So maybe I wanted to put a friend or something. I can create somebody right here by clicking that and moving through the next screens, just like I did to add Brad. He's my primary. I'm going to have 100% go to him. If you wanted to split it between multiple kids, you could just keep clicking Add and then put them as all primaries with, maybe there are 3 of them, it'd be 33.33% for each of them. If I want to elect CDL Defender, if I'm a driver, or Family Defender, if I just want prepaid legal, I could click either of these or both. If you want pet insurance, you actually have to call VPI, and there will be information in the guide about that, and then let us know what it is. This just tells you that it's an option, but you can't elect it in here. And I'm going to hit Continue. You can see up here that I'm up to $168.90. So here's a recap. This is everything I've elected at this point. I can see exactly who my dependents are and who my beneficiaries are. Here's how much it's costing me on a weekly basis, and here's what the employer is paying on a weekly basis. Here you can see any coverages that were waived and any beneficiaries that I've already designated. And I'm going to click I agree and submit. I would encourage you to make sure that your printers have paper at your kiosk when you're going through open enrollment, and ask that all of your employees click print when they get to this screen. This is the proof. If anything should go wrong, this is the proof of what they elected. It also forms a good reminder just in case they thought they did something that they really didn't. And then they can click done once they've printed it. And this part is finished. I'm going to go back in as Tom Graver real quick. And I'm going to show you a couple of other things. We're running a little bit long, but I want to show you real quick how to terminate somebody and how to do discipline, and that'll pretty much recap everything. Now Tom's got another message. This is going to be the I-9 form. In this case, he's going to go through. I'm going to show you real quick what you would have to do. So in somebody putting in a driver's license and a social, that's a List B and a List D document, I'm going to click that it's a driver's license. Don't worry about this error right now. Just come in and fill it out. And it has to be unexpired. List C, I'm going to put in, they brought in their social. If it was a passport, it would have gone in List A. Issuing authority was Colorado in this case for the driver's license. There's not one for a social. And I'm going to click that I agree and certify everything. You have to upload the file documents, so make sure you have scanned them, and it's just as easy as surfing to it and selecting them and hitting open and then approve. Oops, what was his first day of work? Again, if you don't remember, the system's going to remind you that you have to put that in. and I am done with that. Bill Smith would get the next thing, and he would approve the benefits, and Sally would be able to see her benefits once that's done. So I'm going to come back here real quick. Remember I said it's pretty easy to do almost everything. We want you to actively be in this every day. Leave it up and running on your system. And take action in the system when you've taken action with an employee. So if you've counseled an employee, then put it in the system. More importantly, if you've termed an employee, please terminate them in the system the day that you do that. We really want to keep this database clean. It helps with reporting and succession planning. It also frees up those slots if you need to refill a position, so you don't have to go through a whole different approval. But from the related actions, once you go to that employee, and remember, you can go to them through your org chart, you can click the related actions. I'm going to come over here. If I wanted to do a pay change or request a one-time payment for somebody, maybe it's a bonus, I can go through either of these. If I want to do job change, I'm going to transfer or promote, or I want to terminate. So job change and then terminate. All I have to do is click, what was the last day of work? Well, Tom really wasn't very good. It's going to populate almost everything. What was the reason? Let's see. Well, maybe Tom just didn't pass his drug screen. I could put in secondary reasons if there was other things. Was this a regrettable hire? Well, yeah, I kind of regret it because I wish he'd have passed his drug screen and I wasted a lot of time. You're not going to be able to change this eligibility piece right now. Later on down the road, you probably will, but right now everybody's going to be labeled that they are eligible for rehire. It's a double negative. It's kind of confusing, which is why it's not going to be open. Do you want to close this position? So let's say we are at the end of peak season, and we're going to lay off some people, right-size the force, and you're going to close those positions out so they are no longer hanging out there as part of your fillable profit and loss statement area. You would check, I want to close the position. Is the position available for overlap? In this case, let's say you have an office person who turned in their 2 weeks notice and you want to hire somebody in and have that person train them. You could actually hire somebody into the same position that somebody's already in for a brief period of time. So this one we could leave as available for overlap, and I don't want to close it, so I'm not going to check anything else. I'm going to hit submit. It's going to go up for review and approval, and then that person is terminated. On your end, it took like 3 clicks is all I really had to do to fill information in, and that person's terminated. So you are done. If you wanted to do discipline, I'm going to go back to my home page and go to team performance, and I can start a disciplinary action. Who was the employee? Well, maybe it was Sally. And what happened? Well, maybe she didn't show up very much. Yeah, she left without permission. I can't imagine anybody doing that. Again, I can do other related disciplinary actions. Maybe everything happened right now. It started today, it ended today. And now I'm going to open it up to do the evaluation. There's a guided editor, there's a summary one. So either way you want to go into it, it tells me what was done. This is what's been observed, and I can go in and say, what's the expected change? And has the employee been informed of the following consequences? Yes. And I'm going to hit next. If there were other supporting documents, let's say there were pictures of something, there were statements from people, whatever the case might be, you would add them here. It's going to go to a summary, and you hit submit. That employee is actually going to see it now, and they're going to sign off. I see it, I recognize it, I acknowledge it, end of story. They don't have to agree with it, they're just going to acknowledge it, but it's all stored right there. You can go in and see different things on team information. And I think Tom is still hired. I want to show you one other thing real quick. Since we haven't fired him completely, I should be able to get into him. Anytime an employee wants to go back in and view their benefits and just see what they've got, this is everything that he's got out there. Other areas that they can review, there's their pay. If they need to change withholding elections, ultimately their pay slips will be here. until December 31st. They'll still go into Workday, or rather Centric, to do that. Their total compensation they'll be able to see now, and in this case you can see that this cost of living is here, and there's their regular information for their regular pay rate. Their total is $17,175. Now if they're hundredweight, that's not going to show in here like this. This is just their base rate calculation. If there were other pieces in here, it would show up as well, but he's relatively basic employee. There's a ton of information in the system. When they go in to do personal information, they can just walk through and do that from here, about me and other things, changing what they need to change by clicking different tabs. Different tabs down here with each thing show up. But it's a pretty intuitive system, pretty easy to use, and hopefully y'all become accustomed very quickly. Again, it starts tomorrow. I would encourage you to get in and start playing with it immediately, and also to start having meetings with your employees, give them the handouts, help walk them through what they can walk through. Where you have questions, let us know. We're happy to help out with anything. If anybody has any questions real quick, let me know. Till tomorrow. So if anybody has any questions, holler real quick. I've got everybody unmuted again. And if not, then I appreciate your time. Again, feel free to email questions. Yes?
I want to terminate somebody today. Do I need to do it in Centric or just wait till tomorrow and do it in the new systems?
Up to you. I would go ahead and wait till tomorrow and do it in the new system. It'll be good practice for you. Behind the scenes, what's going to happen is that when we're getting terminations and changes for pay and changes for anything else coming through Workday, we're going to be putting them in Centric so that the two systems stay the same. The same thing with benefits. So it's not going to matter which system you do it in, but honestly at this point we're so close, I would say wait until tomorrow to make any changes, and then we're only having to move it into one system as opposed to backing it into the other one. Most everything is updated. Now a lot of you submitted some title changes off of the spreadsheets. Not all of those are in there. Don't panic if you don't see everything that you wanted to see. We're still working on a lot of this, but it should be pretty accurate for everybody. Pay should be accurate for everybody. If you see pay problems, let us know immediately. But outside of that, be patient. If you find glitches, then just let us know. We'll take care of them as quickly as we can, but it's a work in progress. Okay. Somebody else have a question? Okay. Well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the new system. I hope you get a lot of use out of it. And we're here to help with whatever you need. And I hope you'll have a great week.